Good morning, seventh graders. If you are watching this video, it is because you want to learn how to plan a conclusion that includes a strong reflection on your compare and contrast essay. So congratulations. That means that you have finished your introduction on your compare and contrast graphic organizer. You've also created two body paragraphs to support your focus statement. Now, today you're moving on to your conclusion. Now, to put this simply, your introduction, it caught our attention. It gave context for the main people, and it included a focus statement, aka explaining how the author uses or alters the history provided in the article, The Lost Girls of Sudan. Then last week you did your proof of paragraph, which stated your first point and provided evidence. And you also gave your second body paragraph, which stated the second point and provided evidence. Now we got to close this hamburger. You can't have a hamburger without this little bun right here that makes it all complete. It's not this one bun, it's not this one tomato, nor cheese, nor meat, no lettuce. We are at the second bun now. We are wrapping this whole thing up. So your conclusion has to restate the focus statement and evidence, and it needs to reflect on the larger meaning behind your focus statement and evidence. So what you're going to do now is you have two options of how to do this. So you can either go on your Jupyter and you can open up today's Juno pod, and you can complete this right off the bat. You can watch my video here on your Juno pod. You're going to see my mentor conclusion, and you can just start writing your conclusion right here. Or if you're like me who needs some scrap paper, I need something to work with first before I can copy and paste my answer into the Juno pod. I'm going to go to Google Classroom and I'm going to press the assignment on February 21st, Informative Graphic Organizer. I'm going to click that and I'm going to open mine. So this is my informative graphic organizer. So as you can see, I did my introduction like you guys, I did my focus statement, I did my point 1.2, I did my two body paragraphs. Now I'm scrolling down and I'm gonna move on to doing my conclusion. So I see here, now I'm gonna follow exactly what the graphic organizer says. A conclusion is only one paragraph and it's just wrapping up the whole thing just like that bun at the end of a burger, right? And so I see right here in the italics, it says restates the focus statement and evidence. All right, so I remember my focus statement was comparing the two texts, shows how Parkin used historical events in the novel. Many of the major events are described in both texts. However, the authors focus their attention differently in two texts. And remember, I made this focus statement based on our focus question, which is how has the author of A Long Walk to Water used or altered history in the novel? All right, so all I'm going to do to start my conclusion is I'm going to repeat my focus statement once more, just to wrap the whole thing up. So I'm going to say, although, let me make that a little bigger for me to see. You guys are more than welcome to customize and make it to what you believe is right for yourself. So although the article and the novel, so A Long Walk to Water and Lost Girls of Sudan, focus on different parts of the journey, they discuss similar events. So I just said my focus statement one more time to start my conclusion. So now I'm just going to quickly, just like it says, reflect on the larger meaning behind the focus statement and evidence. So I'm going to say there are misspelling. There are probably many reasons for the differences in focus. One reason, and remember, I mentioned these reasons in the body paragraphs, but I'm just going to quickly just give you a wrap up of what I discussed in the last few paragraphs in my compare and contrast essay, just very quickly. I don't want to dwell. I know my readers already know what they know, but I'm just going to give them the wrap up of the most important points of what I already told them. One reason may be that Lang Benny, which is the author of Lost Girls of Sudan, and Salva were different ages during the time described. This means that they had different views. Even if they went through the same events. Excuse my errors. They would have experienced them differently. So now I'm trying to say that the two main characters in both novels, they may have went through the same events, but just like I said in my focus statement, they just experienced them differently. So we can all go through the same exact event, like these two characters who are fleeing war and everything. However, they might just see it in a different point of view. They might experience it differently because, of course, there are two separate people and everyone has a different story attached to them. So I would say, regardless, and I'm already getting to the end, regardless, it is clear. And now here is where I'm going to start my larger meaning. So here is where I provided my focus statement. Here is where I kind of dove in a little bit of as to what I was talking about in the whole essay. And now I'm going to the larger meaning. So I'm saying, regardless, it is clear that Park found meaning in historical events. So this is me confirming, of course, Park, who was the author of A Long Walk to Water, did provide historical events. She did not lie to us. So of course, it is clear. In her novel, A Long Walk to Water, she uses the experiences of real people like Salvo to convey an inspiring, and that's an opinion, I believe that it was truly inspiring, message of hope and perseverance. And there you have it. That is my draft of a conclusion. Again, as I said, I'm going to be changing as I continue to draft, but on my graphic organizer, all I simply did was restate the focus statement, and I provided one piece of evidence that I felt like was the strongest evidence that all of my essay kind of already talks about. And then I wrap up by just confirming, yes, Park did provide evidence that actually supports the real historical events that happened to people in Sudan during the civil war in Sudan. And regardless, I just wrapped this whole conclusion up by providing the larger meaning, which is they provided an experience that conveys an inspiring message of hope and perseverance through this character. And that's it. That's all I did for my conclusion. I wrapped up the whole entire hamburger. So at this point, I'm going to copy what I wrote. And remember, this graphic organizer is provided to you guys on Google Classroom. If you sign into Google Classroom, I'm just going to show you one more time. If you sign into Google Classroom, Informative Writing Graphic Organizer, and open it up, that's where you will see it. So I'm going to take my answer and I'm going to press paste onto my Juno Pod and submit it. Of course, I would press turn in. Now, before you guys go, I just want to showcase that in your Juno Pod for today, after you finish submitting your conclusion, please take the time to complete your Women's Excellence form. It is now March 1st, which means it is Women's Herstory Month. So when you guys get the time, please provide some women that you feel like represent excellence so that we can shout them out in our lesson for tomorrow on Zoom. Thank you so much for coming to our video lesson for today. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. If you need any help, please feel free to message me or come to our office hours. Now let's wrap up this hamburger and get that conclusion started.